Hello, hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of We the Light. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. Holy shit. I don't even know how to begin this intro. Yeah, I want to do like a hip circle. I want to throw my hair. I want to do all of the like I literally, looking at you, being with you, I want to bathe in roses. I fucking love you so much. I know everyone's like, who? Who do we love? You know, like they're like, who are we talking about? And it's Crystal. It's our girl, Crystal. Crystal really, to me, has been, you know, an online crush, which then I'm so grateful I got to take one of her amazing courses. And she is just a genius in all of the things, truly. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. She's a coach for revolutionary entrepreneurs, what? And she teaches to, and this is actually, she actually does this so well because she teaches to really run business from an embodied, fun, pleasurable way where I'm like, oh yes, teach me everything. Crystal's a certified speaker. She does amazing online courses. I could testify. I've taken an amazing course. I actually was looking back yesterday and I was like, oh, I love this fucking content. And she's an awesome thought leader, an amazing coach. And Crystal, so many things I could, you know, talk about her, but there's good content we have to go to. But she's also the leader of the women's empowerment and the women's movement, the Red Lip Revolution. And she's passionate about so much, also about reclaiming the lost sacred art of adornment, which we will definitely talk about today. Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me and just like showering me with like adornments of words right now. Like, holy smokes. Put them all on top of me and make me more sparkly.
You're like, yes, lather me in the word baths. I love it. Who doesn't love it?
Right? I mean, I used to deflect it and like just been like, oh, you don't love me that way.
Right. It's so I'm getting this. You know, conversation is good when I'm getting comfortable. Like I just was like, all right, hold on, I need to get comfortable for this one. This is about to be good. You know, I'm so glad you brought that up. We're going to talk about so many things, but I am so glad that you brought that up and brought that to light because that is such a thing that we're really good at. And we're really good at not receiving, point blank, period. But like receiving love, receiving compliments, receiving being seen. And so thank you for teaching us that, you know, in your work. And I've seen you like teach that. And it's beautiful how you are a leader in that. And you're making space for others to do that. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll just say from my experience, like it would almost be painful when someone would give me a compliment or more than one. And the thought was like, oh, she's just saying that because she's nice.
Yes.
She's just a nice person. It's not because it's true.
Yep. And it's like sorry to interrupt, but isn't it the funny thing of like, oh, thanks, I like your earrings too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally deflect right away. Take the attention off of me. It's hard to hold attention, especially more than one compliment. Holy smokes, like stop. And I really started to tune in that it was like me withholding love. Like these compliments are coming from a loving place and I'm not allowing myself this love right now. Whoa.
Right. And I'm like so tempted to already go here because I have this, I want to talk about this. I'm like, we're already in. But like, I love that you also you touched upon like holding good things. And I talk about this a lot. We're not taught to hold good things. It's in the narrative to hold blood, sweat, and tears, to be painful. And like, it feels it feels triggering and scary to hold goodness and safety and pleasure in our body, which I think what you do for me, I'm like, God bless, but people probably think it's so provocative in the best way of, I'm supposed to hold business, which is supposed to be hard and scary and triggering, with pleasure. Like that is like, oh my gosh, how could those coexist? So it's funny, I'm jumping right in. Like, can you talk to us about like how you create safety in your body to hold good things, or anything that you feel like called to share about like holding good things and how you cultivate that and how you make it safe in your body and nervous system to hold those good things?
Yeah, it's like, well, start wherever you're at, first of all. Like, you don't have to go to 1,000 right away. I mean, if you can, right? You don't have to. But it's like, okay, can you hold one compliment? And can you savor it, right? People tell me things like they love to give me gifts because I get so excited. Oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Like, what is this wrapping? And like, what is this? And I'm holding it and I'm hugging it. I haven't even opened it yet, right? It's like practicing the art of savoring things, savor the compliment. Like, even if you have to deflect it at first, like, can you just savor it for one more second before you deflect? Can you just go like, like, oh, thank you for telling me my earrings are so beautiful. Like, bring it into the body. Even if that at the end of a sales call, someone tells you no, like, why can't you still savor the sales call? Like, oh my God, she said yes to like reading my content. She said yes to clicking on the call link. She said yes to like showing up for the call. She said yes to like talking to me on the call, right? And at the end, she said no. I talk about this with my kids all the time because they freak out if they don't win a game. I'm like, it's not just about winning the game. There's like 5 other things that happened while we were playing the game. Savoring each little yummy bit,
That is so good, because I also see you in our platforms that we share. Like, you are the queen of celebrating. And I love that. And you teach, that's something you teach, is celebrating, and in this culture, it's very much like celebrate the huge thing. And it's funny, right? The narrative. It's like celebrate the huge thing, and the huge thing comes, we're like, anyway, next thing. But like it's like it never like we're like, yeah, I'll celebrate when that happens, and then it comes and we're like, like we always push the timeline further and further. But you fucking kick ass at yourself, teaching and being a leader in this, but also holding your clients and your students like, oh no, you're going to celebrate every little nugget that you think is silly or not good enough. Like, you are the queen of celebrations. Can you talk to me about that? Yes, tell us.
Okay, so here's the thing. You're seducing me right now to tell a story I've never told before, because I'm really scared that it's going to trigger people and like rub them the wrong way and they're not going to get it. Okay, so this is just my story. Okay, this is my story. There's all kinds of feelings around this topic, and it's about miscarriage. Okay, so way back in the day, my husband and I, we had infertility for several years. It was like 3 or 4 years. And then when I did get pregnant, I had 3 miscarriages in a row. And my dad is like my hero. He is like the hero of my life, right? And we're so close, and he's so nurturing. But every once in a while, he will come out with something that I'm just like, what the bleep?
No, say it all.
Okay, what's up?
Yeah, like, they're welcome.
So I just had my 3rd miscarriage, and I'm feeling emotional already talking about this story, right? We just had fucking 4 years of infertility. I just had my 3rd miscarriage in a row. And my dad was like, what if this is what your parenting journey is? Like, what if this is the place you get to in your parenting journey? Can you celebrate having gotten pregnant? Can you celebrate having had the baby in your belly for, a couple of months, right? Like, I know it's really painful, but can we find a way to be like, this was your parenting journey? And I was like, what?
You're like, what the
Are
fuck?
you what? But also I knew it was true. Like it was so hard to hear. It was so harsh, but it was true. And once I was able to like connect with that, I was like, oh my God, I got pregnant. Like I got pregnant. Like I had a baby in my belly. That's like such an extreme example, right? But like that's what taught me like to celebrate. Like, what if like this is where I get with this one woman is a sales call and she never says yes to my container, but we get to have this like beautiful sales call where we just like I hear from women all the time that they feel like they're the only woman in the world on my sales calls. And I'm like, what if that's the gift? That I get to see her with no distractions because I'm very focused on my sales calls. Like, what if I get to be in the moment with this woman and this is our journey? Like, this is the thing. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that because I'm like, oh, when you said that, I was like, what's the story going to be? I just hit my mic. I was so excited. I was like, what's the story going to be? But that's like really beautiful. And I really thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable and sharing that. And I think it makes perfect sense that you're so good at celebrating. Because if you can celebrate holding such grief, like that's nuanced, it's like, yes, there's celebration, but there's so much grief and so much confusion. So the fact that you learn celebration through something like that, it makes so much sense and why you're such a fantastic leader at that.
yeah. And the other little sideways piece to that is like, don't miss out. Why would I miss out on like if that was my part of the motherhood journey? Like I would have missed out on like savoring and celebrating like that, right? And same with your business, right? It's like don't miss out on it.
Yes. Well, we're obsessed. We're obsessed. And we're especially since we're in the same world, like we're obsessed with the 6-7 figures. We're obsessed with, the society is obsessed with I have to be at this size. I have to hit this relationship. And I'm so glad you're creating a conversation of like, yes. Like I'm all about the desire. Like and we're going to talk about that. But like, let's, future trip and be in that energy of like, yum, yum, yum. We're creating new, exciting stuff. And I love that you're also saying this also too is a gift. And there's so much richness in this moment.
Absolutely. And just to even stack more on that,
Stack it.
It's like we need a good origin story.
Yeah.
Come on. We need a good origin story where you like struggled. Like if you're going to write your epic novel, you have to start with a little struggly.
Right. We need something to rub up against. Always.
Right? We totally do. Like Frodo, like Harry Potter. Like,
we can't just have the thing. We need to have that.
Yeah. So like be in your origin story. Like be in your origin story.
Yes. So if someone, you and I live in this work, and so it's very, we're up on the Facebook and on all the things. I'm 87. We're up on the Facebook, but we're up on all the places, celebrate. Like this is very much our norm. But if someone's listening and they're like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what does that look like for a person very new to this work? What does celebrating mean every day? Like, would you have any tools or tips to like help them start to implement that every day?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I teach is like a celebration protocol because sometimes like a good thing happens and we don't know what to do. We're like, how do I celebrate? I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. How do I celebrate? I'm lost. So just get out your little phone notes and like write down some like go-to celebration practices. So one of like, I've got like a 5-point thing, but like one of them is to take up space. Like that could be anything for you. It could be stand up and open your body up and widen your arms. Last year I was experimenting with taking up space with noise. So I had like my drum and I'd be like drumming, when I was like celebrating, I was like taking up noise. Here's something interesting. Like we'll just talk about business here for a minute. in corporate, it was like, we're just like so cool. Like I would make like a $30,000 sale and be like, okay, cool. I'll send you the contract, I'll send you the email with the information, blah, blah, blah. Right. It'd be like so cool. And I'm like, screw that. Like, I'm happy. Like, if somebody said yes to me on a call, I'm like clapping and I'm like smiling and I'm just like, woohoo. And I'm like, let's do some hip circles, right? So we get scared to celebrate in front of people or something. You just made me happy. You just said yes. Like, we have a new relationship now. Like, we just took it to the next level. So I'm all about like embodiment, like celebration in the moment on the sales call, for example. And then I might get off the sales call, and I used to have this little trampoline, this like kids trampoline, and I'd like go jump on the trampoline and like clap my hands. And then I'd go and get my drum and all that. And then I'm not going to do all 5 points, but I would also brag to my people. So I'd send my dad a text message, I'd brag to my bestie, and I'd brag to my coach, right? I think if you have this little list of a few things, if you're a newbie to celebration and you're like, something good just happened, I don't know what to do. Get your phone out, do your little list, and it might feel weird or manufactured or like all the things, but eventually you won't need that list anymore and you'll just do your thing.
That's so good. It's so helpful. I always say this, like, this podcast is for others. Like, I give this podcast for others, but every time it's medicine for myself. And I'm like, God damn it. Because as you probably saw yesterday, and for, in real time, for people, I was featured in Cosmo. And I was like, like yesterday, I was like doing all the things, but I didn't like finish the cycle of celebration. So today I was a cranky bitch. Like, I was like, oh, this is curious. Like, yesterday, and I'm grateful that yesterday I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I was so excited. But I felt there was like residue, like, you know what I mean? Like, there was more to process. And I felt that today. And I mean, I've been doing this work for 10 fucking years. But I'm glad I noticed, ooh, you have more to celebrate. You have more to celebrate. And I'm so grateful that you brought up like a list. Because sometimes when you're in it, you're like, like it can be a little freeze moment. So I love that you're like, nope, I have a list. And if I forget, like, it's there. It's there. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Because like I did my normal of like, I'm going to brag, I'm going to dance, I'm going to do that. But I still feel the cycle alive and there's more to be had. So I'm grateful for that you brought that up. And I think that's important for people to notice. Almost like a stress cycle, like, is the celebration cycle complete? Because sometimes it's not. Like, sometimes we cut ourselves off.
Is the celebration cycle complete? Oh my God.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So thank you for that. Because I'm like, ooh. And I mean, in some ways, we've both worked with Mama Gina, and we know, like, she always says undigested, stuff turns to shit. And it's true. It's true, because I still was like, ooh, I have creepy crawlies. I have to process. I still have creepy crawlies. So thank you for normalizing this and for this to be part of our day-to-day, So thank you. There's so much. Like, I'm like, pleasure and adornment and things. But like, I feel like something that we should definitely pay respect to is how you got here. And I know we briefly talked about it, but you talked to me briefly about like a near-death experience, which changed your perspective on life. And it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like it gave you a new perspective of how you want to live. Can you talk about that?
Oh my goodness. So I learned about 1,000 lessons in like 1 minute during the near death, right? But one of the most important ones, because of what was happening to my body, I was losing breath. So my breath was going away. And I really didn't know if I would have my next breath. And so right before, so I was in Stanford, deep in the ICU. It's like the middle of the night. I just had spinal surgery. And something was going wrong in my body. and I heard this little voice, and I've never heard it before and never heard it since. And it said, breathe shallow. And right after it said that, everything went into chaos. Like all the machines I was hooked up to were making all the noises. The heart rate monitor was about to explode. All the lights went on. All the people rushed in, like so much chaos. But I had heard that voice had said, Crystal, breathe shallow. And so I just devoted myself to that. And breathing shallow is pretty hard to do for an extended period of time. And all the experts were in the room. I was at Stanford, like the top of the top, I had the top doctors. I was in the ICU of the ICU of the ICU, like top nurses, everything. So they were all kind of trying to get me to do stuff, but I was like, no, I'm breathing shallow, right? And so amongst the chaos, amongst the experts, I just was devoted to one breath at a time. And they gave me all the pain medicine possible and all these things to try to support my heart rate. And they just really couldn't. They were like, it's kind of up to you right now, because we don't even know what's wrong with you. I really learned the power of presence and the power of breath and the power of trusting myself and the power of staying regulated amongst chaos. And I wasn't scared. Like even the nurse was like, Crystal, you need to work your magic. There's nothing I can really do right now, except for like they needed to do x-rays and do all kinds of things, take my blood and figure it out. But like they were losing me. So what ended up happening was that my lungs were filling up with fluid and I was essentially drowning from the inside. So if I took a deep breath, it would have been just over, right? It didn't make sense on paper. So I always like to say with that little story, like, you don't have to go out and get a near-death experience.
Right. You're like, you could take mine and learn the lesson.
And one of the like sideways lessons is like, I know what it's like to almost die. It's really fucking intense. And I know it feels like you're going to die. Like legit, when you're posting on Facebook and you're like doing a Facebook Live, like your body is freaking out. I totally get that. But like, also, I kind of know what it's like to really.
Yeah, you're like, it's a little different.
It's a little different. Again, not discounting like the trauma and the fear and the like trauma of public speaking and like all of that stuff. But like what got me through that really traumatizing experience was presence, self-trust, breathing, living in the moment to moment, and just like the self-trust in like chaos and with all the other experts in the room trying to tell me what to do. You're the expert of your moment to moment.
Oof. I love that because it's saying you're the expert. And also, that's very much the reclamation. This is a total fucking side note and we can go back, but go with me on this. That's why I love, and I'm sure you feel this too, that's why I love teaching pleasure. Because it takes your power back. And I always say, like, so many people are victims to heinous things. But in the day-to-day, you feel less of a victim and you feel more empowered. Like, I am the expert. I can create my turn on or my joy. And I think we could go back to what we just were talking about, but I see you expertly doing that.
You.
Yeah, you're like a magician at cultivating. Yeah, you're like, thank you. It's true.
Isn't it so fun to compliment me? I'm also very funny.
I love it. I love it. But I really think you are amazing at, I mean, we see what we see on the internet, but from what I see, you are really great at cultivating pleasure and play in great situations, but also the mundane. Like, you're very good at being like, oh, I'm thinking like, look at the snow, look at the sunset. Like, I'm like, oh, she's so good. Like, she micro doses and micro steps these things that we overlook. Can you talk about that? Because you are genius at making you are the queen pussifier. Like you can take anything. And like I feel like I could put you in the DMV and Crystal's flipping her hair and she's giving out rose pet. Like I'm like I could put you anywhere and you would really thrive. So like can you talk about like how does one do like talk to us about like your journey with that and how the fuck people can do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a little bit of a almost like I came to it almost by trauma. So just like from that near death experience, I was like, oh my God, every day is a gift, like I'm not supposed to be here. And I really went hardcore. I went back to corporate and I went hardcore there and was like, oh, I have to prove why I deserve to live. And I worked my way all the way up to the top of corporate and just like ignored my body and just like made all the money and all the success and all the things. And then I calmed down. But it was a hard stop because that led into the infertility and the miscarriages because I was disconnected to my body, trying to be like so alive, like not missing out on anything. I'm not missing out on a day and celebrating every day. I'm going to do all the things in 5 minutes. So I finally did get pregnant with my son that I have now. And I got put on medical leave, pregnancy medical leave. And I loved my corporate job. And I got pulled right out of it. Like, went to a doctor's appointment. They told me to go pack up my stuff and go home for the next 6 months. And everybody I knew was working. I was totally alone, me and my cat. And I had to sit with myself. And I was able to savor the pregnancy. I would have never had that pregnancy like that if I had stayed in that job. So I get to really savor that delight in the simple things, right? That was 10 years ago now, 11. Oh my gosh. But I really learned to delight in the simple things and really be with myself and like really see things. I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't drive. My husband was at work all day. Nobody was coming to see me because I lived 45 minutes from where I worked. So like everybody's up in San Francisco, working. And I'm like in the East Bay, like in my house by myself.
You're like, okay, what does that look like? I mean, I guess I can like, but what does that look like? Like feeling regulated, feeling nourished, feeling nurtured, and feeling fully alive. Like, what did that look like for you? What does that look like for you?
It's for me about slowing the frick down. It doesn't mean you have to go slow. For some people, slowing down can be really scary, right? So just like whatever level you can get to. And that might just be like one breath. And there's a piece in it. It's a lot of energetics, but like there's a piece in it about like leaning in. I just like lean into the sunrise, right? Like, and I even like, look at the way I'm talking right now. I just start to like talk like this and like almost like bending time as I speak. Like I'm almost just like playing with time with my words. And so it's like, oh my God, that like snow, like, are you kidding me? Like, how did it even get here? Where did it come from? It's like totally here for my pleasure. Oh my gosh. I went to the beach a couple weeks ago and I fell in the water on accident. And then all of a sudden I was having this like experience with the sand. I was just like, oh my gosh, like the sand feels so good. And I'm just going to like rub it on myself and roll around and like get my hair in it and everything. So for me, it's like leaning in with my body and my presence and allowing them to nourish and nurture me. You brought up like the sunrise and the sunset. I'm so devoted to the sun. But it's like the sun is so generous. Like the sun doesn't ask anything. And it like rises and it's so predictable. It's the most predictable thing in our lives, probably. It's like the sun, thank you. I have so much gratitude for you. You greet me every day. And like gravity, oh my gosh, thank you for like holding me to the ground and like always being there for me. So I just like, I don't know, I just feel nurtured and nourished by like those kinds of things. And everything is like, I like to say, like the gold foil on top of the cherry. Like everything else is like that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna butcher who it was, but I think oh, this is yikes. But I think he was a yogi, and I'm sure many of us, many people have said this, when you're especially in this practice of really being, I think ooh, I don't remember who it was, so I'm not even gonna pretend. But it was some swami or yogi that practices essentially mindfulness. And they were saying when you are so now I'm like, who is this? My Virgo brain's like, I want to know. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, was it the Buddha? Who was it? But regardless, some wise human was saying when you are so in, like you're saying, like with your senses, when you're so here, like here I am touching my hair and really taking pleasure from being alive to the senses and being here, they were saying something like, I don't know if someone asked, like, do you want to travel and do this? Almost like the FOMO thing we're talking about, like live, like the Las Vegas slot machine way of living, like that, like boom, 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 boom. And they were like, I am so alive to this present moment. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And I think it's nuanced because, I think people like us want, but like we are like, give us the Vegas. I think we're like, we want both, but I think why I bring that up is you touched upon, it's not like you have to wait till vacation to feel fully alive. It's not like you have to wait for this retreat to feel fully it sounds you are a great example of someone that's like, here I am right here, right now. What is the magic that's available to me? How can I lean in? How can I play with this? Like you are, and I think thank you for sharing specifically what you do, but that is the alchemy and the genius of your work and what you teach people to do.
Oh my gosh, you nailed it.
Yes. Mic drop.
Yeah. I mean, just quick little baby side note, like I kind of dipped my toe into coaching by transforming people's closets. And I used to help them make closet sanctuaries because I'm like, why do you have to wait to go to church? Why do you have to wait to the vacation? Like you go to your closet every day, create a little sanctuary for yourself there. How can we bring the sanctuary to the now? How can we bring the vacation to the now, the church to every single morning?
Yeah. Well, now that we're here, because I'm like, we might as well just go here. Yeah, I'm like, we're here. So let's just sashay to this. Like, you are the queen of adornment. And it's genius because I actually was talking to a client today. I used a different word, but same thing, like pussifying and being in that energy. And we were talking about like you said, like her space and how can we make it more magical. Talk to us about the power of embodying your higher self and like, why would someone want to step into that world or spend time thinking about it or talk to us about that, Matt, because that's one of your magics.
Yeah, using adornment to
Yes.
like evoke the next thing. Yeah, so we even talked a little bit about attention and connection, and this is related to it. Like, I mean, come on, when you put on sparkly earrings, people are going to notice you more. When you put on red lipstick, when you put on a big yellow hat, you're probably going to get attention and compliments. So it's an invitation for more connection, right? It's an invitation for connection, whether people talk to you or just like admire you or whatever. Like it is an invitation for connection. But oftentimes you can start with connection to yourself. So like put some red lipstick on with the messy hair, having worked out, like just bedhead, like who cares? But like put something. And I know there's science to it too. Like we're like little birds. We like sparkly things, like we're just attracted to the sparkly things. But like you can do a practice, like let's say you wear earrings or a necklace or whatever, crown. Look at yourself before and then put the sparkly thing on and just notice what happens. There's a different level of connection. There's something shifted. And we can talk about like the art of adornment too, and like what adornments actually are and what, people think they are. So there's the invitation into connection that can happen with yourself and others. But I was really delivered this message. I haven't been delivered a message like this before since, same thing, like the near death message. But I was doing like a guided meditation, and this, like, my seventh ancestress back delivered a red box onto my lap with a gold bow. And it took me about a year to open that up. But what was inside was the Red Lip Revolution and this ancient wisdom on adornments. So the thing is, most people believe that the adornments are meant to enhance the beauty of the woman, the wearer, right? But I would argue that the truth is the woman enhances the beauty of the adornments. So this can be a lot for people to grasp at first, but just bear with me. Like, put that lipstick on a counter or put that jewel on a counter and just look at it. And you'll be like, oh, it's really pretty. It's great. It's great. And then just like ever so seductively, just like pick it up with your fingers and like put it on your hand and look at it. And suddenly that adornment has like life and movement and what I like to call aliveness, right? Something happens. And then just like put it on your ear and like maybe give yourself a little sensual ear massage before with some oil and like tell yourself how beautiful you are and just all the things. And then put your little earring in and look at the adornment. It's no longer this object that's on a table. It is so different. And so I really want women to see that they're beautiful first and that these adornments get to be chosen by you to be worn today. They have no life without you. They're just sitting on a shelf without you.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful explanation about that, because I could see why that conversation may be very triggering. The old story may be very triggering for people. Like, I am beautiful. I don't need jewelry or that. And I love that how you are describing this and talking about this is from such an, this is a weird thing, but go with me on this. Like, that's such an abundant way to look at it versus like a scarcity, crunchy way to look at it. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's, I wonder now, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because I'm Miss Ham. I love the jewels. I love the knit. Today you got me on a bizarre day because I'm no makeup, but I'm love to live. But I do see myself going in between both of like, I need that, that relationship. But I think why you sparkle so much is you have a really healthy relationship to that. Is so interesting because I think you wear that message really beautifulally.
Ah, oh my
And you
gosh.
embody it.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's true.
I mean, these earrings are so lucky. They got to be chosen and put on my body today. It's a celebration between us, right? When I walk past the mirror, I notice them. I look at them, right? It feels good. It makes me smile.
Yeah, this is a very niche thing that I'm going to bring up, but I feel called to share. And that's very niche. But when I first started doing this work, and then I first started working, close to these teachers, what's so interesting is, I worked backstage with some of these teachers and blah, blah, blah. And so when I would talk to the students, like, what do you need? Do you have any questions? I'm not kidding you. Like, I was like, how are you? How are you feeling? They're like, where did so-and-so get that ring? Or, like, and I was like, what? Like, and they're like, I need that ring. Or I need that. I'm not, Crystal, I'm not even kidding. I cannot, we would joke, the people that I work with would go back and be like, they asked, what so-and-so ate for lunch. They're like, is she gluten-free? Or where did she get that shirt? Where did she get that, that ring? And I remember even going to like tantra festivals and the women wearing like the cool, bodysuits, and people were like, and there's this old story I think we collectively share, if I wear that bodysuit, like if I have, and that's why there was an obsession with this. I'm thinking of this one teacher, like, okay, if I eat gluten-free and if I eat her diet and I wear that ring, and I remember being so blown away by that, because I was like, who cares if you have the ring? That's not going to, maybe it'll inspire you, but I thought it was such a misplaced use of power. You know what I mean? Like I was like, no, it's the teachings, it's the teachings. And I know that's like a very niche story, but I think it's something that we do in this society. You know, it's like we go after like, oh, that maybe that thing will give me the power. And like what you're teaching is I am the power. I am the magic. And these adornments just ooh, but they're not the power. They're not the thing. And I see that a lot, especially in this community, because we live in a society that wants to, the get rich quick, which God bless, but like the get rich quick, type thing of like, and I see, to be completely honest, I sometimes see myself doing that. Like, ooh, if I get that bodysuit, like, or if I get that this, yes, it may inspire me, but that's not going to cause deep healing. So like, weird story, but I think you understand how it connects.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Just again, the core message of like you, the wearer, is the one that is enhancing the beauty of the ring, right? Of the bodysuit. And there's this whole other thing that we could go down to. I'm super passionate about women seeing their own beauty because I feel like this is one of the barriers. If you don't feel pretty, if you don't feel worthy of being seen, like you're going to hide your message, you're going to hide yourself. And so there's this old narrative that like, less than 1% of the population of women are beautiful. Like what?
What?
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No, all women are beautiful. You're never going to get me off of that high hill. Like all women are beautiful. And I learned that on the deepest level when my daughter was handed to me after I delivered her. And I was like, there is no way anyone's going to ever tell me she's not beautiful. And I already know there's going to be people. And she's going to have that first experience that's going to rock her world where she's like, right? And somebody just like chops her sunshine of like her beauty connection, right? But when you feel beautiful, you just like know it because it's your birthright. And I have a whole thing on beauty diversity and like how the population of the species like needs it and like a whole thing. We won't go there. It's critical for humanity that you show your particular type of beauty. And the eyes do inform the way that we see ourselves. The eyes are part of our body, and there's a whole bunch of the brain. I think it's like 75% of the brain is, or 80 is connected to the sense of vision. So it is connected to how you see yourself. And the truth is you're beautiful. So let's just get you connected to that. Like, don't argue with me about it. Let's just get you connected to that again if you're missing it, right?
Yeah. This is a lifelong journey, right? Like, cause I know I've been on this for years and my clients, it's not just bibbity boppity boo, but like, and this thing is very Instagrammable now, right? Like self-love, well, it's so funny, right? I'm sure you experience this too. It's like there's two sides of the coin. Like there's a lot of shame around like that's foolishness, that's silly, that's stupid. And then there's another side of the coin of very Instagram, which I'm glad it's starting to be a movement, like self-love, self-love, self-love. But I think that leaves a lot of people like, what the fuck does that mean for me? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? So like for newbies or even for anyone, like, again, this could be a 3-hour combo, but like, what would you intuitively guide newer people? Like, what would their like first few steps be into a real relationship to self-love, to owning their beauty and their uniqueness?
Yeah. I mean, when you named those two different narratives, like the immediate thing in me was like, who's in charge here? Like, who the fuck is in charge
You're
here?
like, excuse me, I want to talk to the manager.
But like, you're in fucking charge.
Yes.
Like, whether you're getting confused by this camp or this camp, like you're in charge. You know what's best for you and what you should be looking at and what makes you feel good and connected to your aliveness all the time. But, to support the falling in love with one's self, a hand mirror is one of the tools. Like, I know mirror work is like a big thing, but like, we don't have to use the whole mirror at first if that's too much. And it's also part of the red lip revolution. One of the practices is before you put on the lipstick, we spend a whole day nourishing our lips, like massage your lips, get some oil, and lip gloss and chapstick. Like get like 3 different things to layer them all on and massage your lips and like make your lips like I'm like making little kissy faces and just like loosen your lips and look at them with a little hand mirror. Like, look at your lips. They're so sweet. Look at your fingernails. Oh my gosh. Like, so it's just like admiring the bits, right? Admiring the bits. So that's one thing. If that's too hard, next time you're at the grocery store and you see a precious little one, don't be creepy, obviously. But like, that obviously.
I get you. Yes,
but
I
like,
get you.
well, look at their little lips. You're not going to tell me those little lips aren't so beautiful and so sweet. Like, build that bridge from internal little you to that little one over there. And I'll say like another moment when I like had this like experience was I was at a women's retreat and we were to dance. We were just to dance in front of 3 other women that were holding space for us. And then speak from this really embodied place without thinking, just speak. And I just remember saying, oh, I just love like the little, like the back of my arms. I just like love the back of my arms. And I just like love that little like spot on the back of my back. And I couldn't believe I was saying those words because I didn't think that I loved those parts. I was horrified. I was like, I don't see the back of my arms and my back, my back. But I realized like, oh my God, those parts needed love. They needed love and witnessing. And then I did this like photo shoot with like my little back fat and just like scrunching it up. And I was like, oh my God, it's like so cute. I have like the cutest back fat. And I was like, I can't believe I was so scared of it. I can't believe I was so scared of my precious, sweet, juicy, like, back fat. And another thing, my kids love my belly. Like I have a mama belly. And they just like come and grab it like little kittens, they're just like all the time and jiggling it and all the things. And I'm like, oh my God, how could I be so scared and upset about someone's home? Like that was someone's home, like my children's home. So it's a long journey and that's like a really quick, like.
Yeah, but that's helpful.
Things. Okay, good.
Yeah, because I'll break it like, break it down. You talked about so many good bombs, but like, it almost sounds like you approach this with like childlike curiosity. So instead of like the critical eye, it sounds like, especially like, oh, look at my fingernail, or like, look at that toe. So instead of it being like, having that like that harsh narrative, it sounds like you really evoke childlike curiosity of like, look at that squishy texture. Ooh, that's fun. Like there's lots of playfulness and it's with the lens of purposely searching for joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel called to ask this just because I'm personally curious, but I think a big piece why people are resistant to owning their beauty and owning and we didn't get to talk about this today, but I talked about this in my last episode. I was like, I love that Crystal does archetypes. Check her out. So we'll have to talk about it another day. I'll have to have you back. But, I'm seeing personally this inside of me, like me really owning some of these archetypes, right? Like me owning my full radiance. Sometimes people are scared of that. Again, that's a big question. But like, is there a tip or a suggestion that you would have to people? Because it's so, I love that you're bringing such safety into this conversation about owning your beauty and owning your higher self. But sometimes it's fear lives of like, fuck, if I really own my beauty, there's a deep fear of being seen. So do you have like any sounds so silly, but like safety tips or tips that people can really step into their fullness, their aliveness? Yeah, like I'll just leave it at that because I think you get where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that comes to mind right away is, I mean, I'll speak a little bit in like the coaching container. So like, for example, find a coach that you can be your full self with. You can tell her all your dirty little secrets, and like your snarky comments and your like jealousy and like you're pissed off about this, or you're scared about this, or you're scared of your bigness, or you have this like idea that doesn't make sense on paper and blah, blah, blah. And create safety within that relationship, right? It could be your best friend, right? Creating safety there. And then just start to expand. So, like, what ultimately we want to do is create internal safety, but you might need to create safety by way of like your coach first.
Yes.
Right? So, find a coach that's going to love you no matter what. And I just like assume my coach loves me no matter what. So I just like say everything to her. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking triggered that you're selling your mastermind at the same time as me. How dare you? You know, I'll say shit like that to her. I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so pissed that you have, you know, a 100K launch or whatever the hell, right? I just tell her all that stuff. I'm so mad at you. I'm so triggered.
You're like,
really.
God damn it.
God damn it. Can't you just like do your launch next month? So it's just like, it's like in your business, if that's, you know, what we're talking about here, like find a space where you can be your fullest self, where you can explore. If you want to do an archetype, you can explore that archetype fully, including the shadowy pieces, right? And then find the next place. And then find the next place, right? It might be my Facebook group. It might be your personal wall. It might be somebody else's Facebook group, and just keep expanding the safety.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I know we're close to time, so I want people to know you and all of that, but I feel I have to ask this because this is one of the amazing reasons why. So we'll give the abridged version. We'll save, you know, if you feel, we'll save a bigger one for another day, but I'm curious, how can others create more? We talked about this a little bit before, like the play and being alive, but like, how do you suggest others to start to have a relationship to their pleasure in the day to day, whether they are business owners or whether they work for corporate, you know, like regardless, or if they don't work at all, like how would you suggest slowly cultivating their relationship to pleasure? I know that's a huge bomb at the end of the call, but I'm like, you are the queen of this, so I have to ask you.
Okay, so I think the mindset piece around this is really getting okay with being a learner. This is like something I'm super passionate about. Get okay with being bad at things. I say that in quotes, like bad at things before you get good at things. Just have a better relationship with the learner's journey. Something I talk to my kids about all the time. Like, learn how to be a learner and learn that you don't know things and you're going to mess up. Same with pleasure. Okay. You're a pleasure learner. Okay. We don't expect you to come walking out of the womb. We expect you to fall 5,000 times. And if you fall and my daughter is so good at falling. I'm like, you're so good at falling. She's like never broken a bone, hurt herself, nothing. She's so good at falling. Learn how to fall, and it's okay. Learn how to not know how to do pleasure. Learn how to forget to do pleasure. Learn how to be okay with forgetting to do pleasure in your business. Don't make a big freaking deal about it if you don't do pleasure right. And so that, with that said, one of the like most simple things I did in the beginning, I used to teach 30-second rituals, 30-second rituals multiple times a day. So I had a little rose oil and I did this little I love you ritual every day, like a million times a day. And my daughter would remind me, can we do the ritual, mama? And she'd do it to me and I'd do it to her. And I just had it on my desk and like just all of these things. And that was my little pleasure dose, my little drip, drip, drip of pleasure. And what started to happen was when I thought about the rose oil, when I started to reach my hand to the rose oil, it's like Pavlov's dog, right? Like I would start to salivate. I knew the ritual was coming. I could like smell the rose oil before I touched it. Like the activation, even right now, like I'm getting chills.
Yeah, I'm like, I want rose oil. Like, oh.
Where is it? Right? So like I just developed this like positive reinforcement experience with it, right? I didn't set a timer. I didn't have like, I have to do it 5 times a day. I just started to like create like a little addiction to it, a little like craving. And what I would do is if I felt funky at the end of the day, it was typically because I didn't do it. And so I just noticed, oh, I feel a little funky. Oh, it's because I didn't do as much pleasure as I needed to. Great. That's great information. That's great data.
Yep. Thank you. That is, again, I could pick your brain for hours. I looked at none of my notes because you are just the best and you're a wealth of knowledge. So thank you. And I want to respect your time. But before we do, everyone needs to know where to find you. So tell us what you're selling, where people can find you. Tell us this is your time for people to come into your universe.
Come to my universe.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as of this very present moment, I do have 2 spots in my hybrid coaching container. So this is for entrepreneurs. And what it is part one-on-one coaching and part group coaching. So you get both. So like all the little things you don't want to say in the group coaching call, we can do in the one-on-one call, and create that safety. And then you might bring it to the group call, right? Like expanding out that safety. And yeah, this is for if you're starting your business. I don't mind taking little baby entrepreneurs, but also if you're growing your business and you're like, oh my gosh, like I have a sold out practice and now I want to add another program. So how do I hold my current clients and bring in new clients, right? How do I hire a team? How do I like bring pleasure into my business? Maybe you have a full on business, but you're like, I have no pleasure.
Yes.
Bring me your little stubborn ass and I'll help you.
I love it. That's so good. And you are, like I said, anyone that listens to this knows like that you are so in integrity with this work and this is your sweet spot, mixing pleasure and business. Where can people find you? Like, so they could stalk you and love you and all the things.
So on Instagram, it's red_revolution_TM because I trademarked that. And the red lip. So if you listen to this podcast episode a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever, like come find the red lip revolution and we can talk about you doing that. We can talk about like whatever other things I'm doing right now, but the red lip revolution is always happening. It's like just like this ongoing thing. Of course I do like challenges where we're all doing it together, but I'm always happy to support you in getting in on that right now. And if you don't like red lipstick, we can do it with nail polish or hat or whatever the thing is, right?
I love it. I love it. Before we wrap, is there any other things that you want to share, about your business, what you're selling, what you're giving, or is there anything that you want to feel called to voice? If not, it's all good, but just wanted to give you the stage one more time.
I don't have to keep talking. Are you kidding me? I love doing public speaking engagements, whether it's in person, fly me out.
Yes.
Or over, virtual. I love being a guest speaker for your retreat or your mastermind or what have you. I love one-on-one. If I happen to have one open, we can talk about it. Otherwise, you can get on my wait list and just come have fun. You can find my Facebook group too, which is Beauty and Body Reclamation. So you can come in that and hang out. We have daily prompts and just lots of fun things going on there. I always have stuff going on, and so do my people. I really attract gorgeous humans into my spaces.
You do. You always have and you are very great at keep articulating and keeping the content fresh. So I thank you for that. Yes. And I thank you for being on. Again, I could talk to you. I'm like, there's so much more, but thank you so much for sharing yourself, your stories, your tips, your tricks. I suggest everyone follows you, be in your universe because you are really such a gift to this world. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast, on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.